Clemens, the Executive Experience Director at Vectorform. Been with the company for over 10 years because it's such an exciting company. Founded 1999 in Detroit. We are globally 140 people with 5 offices in Seattle, Detroit, New York, Munich, and Hyderabad. And I have the pleasure to work with amazing people in the industry and always shape teams that build fantastic experiences, not just for the B2C market, but as I mentioned earlier, for the B2B. And so that's what we do. We invent digital products and experiences. And to give you a little bit of an insight, how we do that is it's not just building POCs. That's an outcome of what we do. So we really work with our customers on a very intimate level. So we want to understand their core business problems, because when we have a really good understanding where they're coming from, where they want to be, and where they have struggles to get there, how to get there, then we can help them to unleash their potential and really bring that innovation onto the streets. And so we sit with them, we observe, we consult, we finalize that into a vision that everybody signs off from an IT perspective, from a product development team perspective, from an HR perspective, to make sure, again, the entire company is behind that push. So we have the pleasure to work with the Fortune 500 companies. 30 of them are in our portfolio. We have, as I said, 5 global offices and developed and deployed 200 plus experiences. But today is all about immersive technology. So I want to focus today on the AR, VR aspect and introduce you how we leverage that in the field of IoT. IoT is 2 aspects for us. It's the smart home, but also the smart factory. And we have examples for both of them today with us. So since we're a partner, or we need to have access to the hardware as soon as possible, as early as possible. So those are our great partners that enable us to have early access to the hardware. So we have all the major players in place. But since last year, we also included Decree as a B2B product provider, really great helmet. Can't wait to show you that one. And also Ayla as a network partner that enables us to have all the devices communicating to each other to enable our IoT devices and how we leverage that for AR and VR. And also, as of late, Amazon Alexa partner, because voice as an additional interactive communication is just a very natural and very easy way to interact with your devices. So great to have that in place. What we're focusing on is high consequence training in the aspect of VR, and I showed you that last year, how we tackle that, how do we analyze what the problems are, and I have an update for you today. So a quick 2-minute video, what we've accomplished, what's next. Then we are using AR, VR for product development. So with one of our hardware partners, we also teamed up with an automotive client to really understand how do you develop the cars, how do you design a car. And we've seen a couple stages earlier this morning, how they produce designs, how they validate designs, how they collaborate on designs. So what of those phases can we skip? Introducing digital methods. Can't talk about that product now. It's been in the works for a year and a half, but as soon as possible, you'll be on it, you'll be informed. But what I have today with me is the remote and diagnosis and repair. It's a really cool way to help your other partner to understand how to fix that issue. So having a diagnostic, a remote control, having your digital twin basically always with you. So I have one example for that. Health and wellness. I mean, that affects everybody. Very interesting field. Also here, can't talk about much yet. But everybody also touches brand promotion. And that's where we all started in 2010 with Volkswagen back then. Volkswagen was a great client from the early 2010s, and we produced and built their e-catalogs for the iOS platforms. And we always challenge them, okay, how can we bring new content alive? How can we use this interaction scheme here? How can we combine those mediums from a physical perspective, like print catalogs? How can we bring that to life with a digital interaction? So we used back then the Qualcomm image recognition, and then also using their game-ready engines, game-ready models to showcase what the car can do, how you can explore different features. So we all use that insight to pull off the BMW i8 experience. That was a fun project back then. Since the early 2013, we had Google Glass available. So we were part of that early Explorer program. Flew to San Francisco, had a full immersion sessions with their teams to really understand what you can do with the hardware. And then on the other side, we had BMW. They said, hey, we have that really amazing car coming out soon, and we want to present it in a more immersive way, in a really fun way. So that's where we said, hey, we have those two partners. Let's all bring them together. And back then, we worked also with Metaio to make sure we have the edge detection in place, we have like everything in place to make the experience as immersive as possible. So basically, the user was putting on Google Glass and was just walking around the car to really know more about the car. How is it so different? Why is it so different? How does it work? So we pulled all those information from their data sets, made sure that the connections are in place to pull the right data. And as you see, it really explains the product in a way more engaging, immersive way. Unfortunately, Metaio was bought by Apple, but I think we have some gentlemen here in the rooms today too that fill the gap, and we're excited to have that community out there to really push those platforms further, so that we can use it for those kind of experiences. So yeah, that was a fun project to work on, but let's switch for a moment into the IoT space. The partner that I mentioned was DTE. That's a partner that we are working with on the VR side for their training. It's a $1 billion+ revenue company, and we are an innovation partner for them for more than 5 years. And their claim is know your own power. So, but how do you translate that to your end consumer? So we said, okay, you have a lot of smart meters installed. How can you bring that claim to life? So smart meters have like real-time information back to the facility, to DTE, but also we need to make that visible to the end user. Because when the end user knows how they use energy and how they can do things better to save energy, that's a huge win. So we basically built our own product that enables the communication from the smart meter to your mobile phone, so you have real-time access to what you're using in your house in any moment. And we also built a feature that was pretty crazy to pull off, but our hardware engineers made it happen. So you have your iPhone, and you just put it on a cable where you have electricity going through, and it shows you what wattage, or like how much watt you're using with that device. No plug-in, no nothing. You just hold your phone on it, and then you have real-time access. So we brought all those things together to give the end user that insight, how they save money. And you have to also remember impact of enterprise. Why should we enable DTE to sell less of their products? It's kind of like contradictory, right? But understanding the entire ecosystem, that DTE gets millions and millions of kickback from the US government when they help saving energy. So DTE is engaged and super interested to show their end user how to save as much as energy possible. And with all their campaigns that they usually drive, end users saved a 1%, 2%, but with our ones, we have up to 10%. So it's a huge financial success for them. So that's where we continue to develop those products, and then update also in just a minute. But one of the main things that I want to focus on today is an AR experience that we pulled off a year and a half ago. Who of you knows Blum? Hands up. Blum, 1, 2, 3, exactly. Oh, so you're actually the ones that knows the company. I had no idea. But then when they said, hey, do you know IKEA? I was like, yeah, of course. So that's the company that's producing, or when you have an IKEA product in your house and you open a drawer or like you lift something up, chances are pretty high that's a Blum hinge or a Blum product. And then they have the bigger ones, like this kind of stuff. So that goes into high quality kitchens, high quality areas. So global, world, industry-leading company, and I was super honored. We were super honored to work on that task. So they challenged us. We have so many thousands of fitters around the world. We need to make sure they have a better tool in place. So can you create an experience that supports our fitters, that executing a perfect job in a shorter time? So as soon as you can deploy more products in a shorter time in a safe and productive way, you make more money, right? So that was the task, that was the ask. And the way we approached it was, okay, we have to do a lot of market insights. So we talked to the international teams, how's the user in general working with you? Do you have like insights? Are they using more the print catalogs? Are they using more the digital catalogs? What's the interaction scheme? How much time do they use in general for all those things? So we had a really good insight what their customer base looks like. And turns out they're actually digital capable or aware. They use smartphones. They have smartphones always with them. So we said, okay, we have a chance to introduce a new feature into their mobile platform. So we said, okay, we have to talk to industry experts. And they look a little bit smarter than those guys. So we interviewed them to, hey, can you show us how do you install those products? Step by step, we went through a couple sessions to really understand how they install those things on site. So we had a full immersion week with them too to understand, okay, that's where the issues occur, and that's how we can fix them. As with every good design, you have to do competitor research. What's out there? What's our benchmark? How can we top that? And then, as I said, we have to make sure object recognition is perfectly working. Again, like they have hundreds of products in place, like those guys here. And if you want to make sure that you have an experience in place that helps you to install those items in a very short way, you have to make sure you track the right products and you pull the right information. So with all those many products in place, we have to also work with their backend teams, their enterprise teams, to make sure all the databases are in the right place, that they are accessible from XYZ places. Since, again, they have hundreds of products, also making sure we have smart content management, so that updates are being pulled overnight, or when we know, hey, those are the jobs that you're about to do the next 2 days, pulling only those kind of materials into their phones. So we all made that work. So we created, I think, a pretty fitting experience. So all things together was first really good success in general, but also when you know, hey, we are able to do all those things in a better and shorter time, you also avoid this one here, QA claims. So if they don't screw up in installation, they save the material costs on the actual cabins, they save money on the return shipments, so just that money saved enables them to do so much more. Then also, since we built a modular system, we set them up for current and future success, so they can implement our system into any solution that they want to roll out or want to update. So we built that module, has shipped it over to them, and have a really hassle-free experience. And it's always good to win awards. So we did actually win 2 awards. The Red Dot, super happy about that one, since that's a tough one to get. Same for the German Design Award. Those are only issued in those specific categories when you move the needle in that very specific industry. So if you don't have an impact, if you don't show numbers that you're changing, you don't get those. So we did, and we won. So again, Blum was a fantastic partner in that whole journey. Really thankful for having that in our portfolio. So yeah, we set them up as a first-tier innovative furniture fitting brand. So we had a good time doing that. DTE, the product that I showed you a couple of minutes ago, giving the user a real-time insight how much power they're using, was, as mentioned, so successful that we said, okay, we need to make that bigger. We have a chance, yeah. So we formed a joint venture that started operating in 2016, mid of 2016. I think it was announced at the World Mobile Congress in Barcelona, 2016. And we are hiring ever since then on a weekly basis because we are rolling that product out into the entire North America, like USA. So that product works in Michigan, and you have to know, like, per state, there's one utility company that is making sure that state is provided with everything, energy related. So we partnered up with a dozen more utility companies to roll that out into the entire country. So we help saving energy on a daily, minute level basis. And that also gives us a new opportunity to develop new products that go into that ecosystem. So not just having a bridge that communicates back to us how much the user is using, but also implementing like smart thermostats or anything else that we can control, really understanding the context. How is the user living in this house, and how much information do we have already, and how many products would we need to have access to drive change? So it's really an incredible experience to have a joint venture, doing product development, and enhancing that context awareness, so that again, like, we're saving so much energy and making sure, USA is set up for good times. Sneak peek, what we're working on right now. I tried so hard to get approval for that one screen or for that video. Didn't get that in time. But let me describe what's going on here. So same company that we're doing the VR training, the high consequence training, but also the product development, the joint venture. Just like think of the situation. We know what you're doing in your house. We have a very intimate understanding what appliances you have in your house, so that we can give you all the tips how to save money. So we know when you're switching on a specific fridge. We know when you're switching on specific lights. And with all the opportunities, devices that are coming out, just like looking, pointing at things, you get the real-time feedback, what the device is using, and what you can do with that device to make it different or to have a different impact. So same for the training. So we already know how the worker is getting their jobs done. We have so much data now in our database so that we know, okay, in that kind of situation, you might experience those issues. So we are just removing the virtual environment and giving you a digital twin basically on the spot whenever you need it, in the right moment, in the right time. So that is, I'm sure I can talk about it more in detail again with a video next year, but that's what we do. And I can talk, you'll see what that actually will look like in this case. As you heard before, AR, VR, bring all that together as XR, so we are on the same page. So making sure we have all the knowledge, all the best practice knowledge, how to develop for those systems, but also understanding how the IoT landscape works. We just merge them together, and that's a project we're doing with FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automotive. So we are coming from a smart home area, now we're going to the smart factory area. So we have a really good understanding how they operate their machines, how they need to change their machinery to be even more effective. So that's the Decree helmet that I mentioned in the beginning. That is a device for B2B enterprise systems where you have additional features like a thermal camera And since we know what's happening in the factory, we enable the plant worker, when they walk through the plant, making sure everything is in place, everything works correct, that they have every information on their screen in that moment. So they just look at a device, they get that information for this device. When they look in a different direction, they get the information from that one. They also have the chance to interact with that device, so they don't need to go up to that specific panel anymore. So they save a lot of time, they identify issues faster. So it's a really great development. And also a little video for that. In order to leverage the full potential of AR/VR, we think you should also be very familiar with the field of IoT. Be ready for that era because, again, when you know how your environment works, you can build way better experiences, way more immersive experiences. So you can control your environment leveraging those devices. So have an understanding of the hardware, the firmware that goes into it, also the products that go into those areas. Obviously being well connected, so have mobile solutions ready, or think about those mobile solutions, so you can apply it for the smart home and Industry 4.0 scenario. We also want to make sure we have a really good understanding of the XR platforms out there, so that we can pull off those immersive experiences. A lot of opportunities, so when you see one, take a chance. And sky's the limit, basically. But one thing that we always want to stress, with all those amazing opportunities in place, if you develop an experience, if you develop a changing experience or product for a company, make sure you talk to a lot of departments within the company, because it affects the people. So make sure also you talk to HR. Let them know when your product is ready, so that the team can be trained on, or if it reduces job, where everybody is afraid right now, that too many things get automized. Also help your client to really understand, if you're losing XYZ people in this area, you can actually build a new business in that area. Let's use those X amount of months, years in between to get those trained up, because finding loyal workers that know the history of the company is so hard. And if you can show them a hire to retire model, I think it's just a great way to take away the fear from all those changing industries and make sure that people are excited about it and embrace that change. So thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. And if you want to know what we're doing on a daily basis, Instagram.com/Vectorform. We're giving you a sneak previews of all the VR, AR stuff, or IoT items that we have going on. So, see you there.